Whether that signal is one of inward protectionism or outward engagement remains to be seen. In my mind, the choice is clear. If we support the motion to invoke cloture on the underlying bill, we will be sending a signal to China that the U.S. Senate is angry over China's manipulation of its currency, but we are not really serious about taking real long-term action to stop it. We are also telling the world community that the U.S. is turning inward once again, seeking protectionist solutions to global problems, and not really interested in working with other countries to solve our current international economic crisis. At the same time, we would be interjecting further uncertainty into our own economic recovery as our exporters and workers face potential retaliation from one of our leading trading partners. There is a better way, and it can be bipartisan. We can defeat cloture and give senators an opportunity to vote on my amendment, which not only has the best chance of actually resolving our serious currency problems with China, but also demonstrates to the international community that the United States will continue to lead by promoting trade liberalization and holding countries accountable to the rules of the game for the long haul. If given the chance to vote on my amendment, we can demonstrate our serious commitment to developing long-term and meaningful solutions to the persistent problem of currency manipulation. And it tells them that we are committed to starting that process today. Yesterday, I outlined some of the serious problems with the unilateral approach adopted by the proponents of this bill. Allow me to summarize them for the benefit of my colleagues. First, this is not a jobs measure. Proponents of the unilateral approach argue that their bill will create thousands of jobs right now and millions of jobs in the years ahead. But all we have to do is take a close look at the numbers and the process laid out in the bill to see that this is not the case. I'm also concerned that the bill will inject economic instability in a key bilateral relationship and subject U.S. exporters to potential retaliation by the Chinese. Yesterday, the White House also expressed concerns about this bill, though they still have not stated publicly what those specific concerns are. I wish they would. It would be helpful to us up here to have the White House weigh in and say what they really want, instead of just waiting for the Senate to do whatever it wants to. A growing chorus has come out to criticize the unilateral approach in this bill. A growing chorus. The New York Times called this bill a, quote, bad idea, unquote, and, quote, too blunt of an instrument, unquote, which, if enacted, is very unlikely to persuade China to change its practices while adding another explosive new conflict to an already heavy list of bilateral frictions. The Wall Street Journal called the underlying bill, quote, the most dangerous trade legislation in many years, unquote. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce issued a letter yesterday stating that the unilateral approach in the underlying bill would be counterproductive in persuading China to alter its currency practices and that, quote, in the end, such unilateral action would very likely cause retaliation by China and ultimately damage the U.S. economy, including exporters, investors, workers, and consumers, unquote. It doesn't get any tougher than that. Again, there is a better way. My amendment calls for a bold new approach which will empower United States negotiators to work within the WTO and IMF to develop long-term effective remedies to counter the effect of currency manipulation by China or any other country, and develop practices to persuade countries to stop currency manipulation. If that does not work within 90 days, they are directed to go outside of these institutions. My amendment, which would also send a great message to both the the WTO and the IMF. I'm used to talking about the ILO from my days as Labor Committee chairman. My amendment also would establish a new priority negotiating objective. So as we negotiate trade agreements with our trading partners, we should all commit in those agreements to not manipulate our currencies. My amendment also ensures that we have a partner by holding the administration accountable until they achieve results. And that's whether it's this administration or some administration in the future. Now, this is not a quick fix, but truly resolving complex and long-standing problems such as currency manipulation will take much more than a quick fix. It requires that we stand together as a country and do the hard work necessary with the international community to achieve real long-term results. And although my amendment was only recently introduced, it is already gaining widespread support. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce endorsed the Hatch Amendment, arguing that coordinated and multilateral pressure through international organizations is essential to encouraging China to adopt market-determined currency and exchange rate policies. That is precisely the approach taken in the Hatch Amendment. This morning, Douglas Holtz-Eakin, former director of the Congressional Budget Office, wrote in National Review Online that the Hatch Amendment, quote, is a more complex solution to the currency problem, unquote. And while, quote, not nearly as sexy or slogan-inspiring as the Currency Exchange Oversight Reform Act, happens to have a much greater likelihood of being effectual. The Hatch bill does, unquote. Americans for Tax Reform wrote a letter in support of my amendment saying that the Hatch Amendment, quote, offers a sensible approach that utilizes the mechanisms created by the international trade community to resolve such disputes, unquote. The Emergency Committee for American Trade says that the Hatch Amendment, quote, will more effectively address concerns about currency misalignment by China and other countries without opening the door to many harmful effects on U.S. business and workers, unquote. These and other organizations, such as the Retail Industry Trade Association and the Financial Services Roundtable, recognize that there is a better way. Let's quit playing politics with this issue. Today, we face a clear choice. By voting against cloture, we can stand against unilateralism, stand against protectionism, and stand against retaliation, and stand against, quote, quick fix, unquote, solutions and slogans. We can then turn to vote on my amendment, and that offers the prospect of real long-term and effective solutions that shows the Chinese and the world community that we are serious about solving this problem over the long haul, and tells this and subsequent administrations that they will be held accountable. Even the administration basically agrees with this. Today we have an opportunity to make a difference. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution wrote today that, quote, we have a trade problem with China, but Georgians will pay dearly if Congress keeps taking the wrong approach to solving it, unquote. I could not agree more. But I would say it's not just Georgians who will pay dearly, but all Americans. I urge my colleagues to make the right choice today to vote against cloture and support my amendment. I'm even willing to give my amendment to the distinguished senator from New York and others. Have it be their amendment. I don't care who gets the credit for it. I just want to have, when we work on trade issues, I want to have them work right. I don't want to have politics played with this. This is too important to have politics played with it. So I hope everybody votes against cloture. And I hope that we can then take up this amendment that I've been talking about. We can refile it so that those who feel so deeply about the Schumer Amendment can be for something. I would like to do that. I would like to see this done. I would like to see our country move ahead in an intelligent approach towards currency and trade. Madam President, I yield the floor.
Madam President.